Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Friday, June 26, year of our Lord 2026. It's 9:13 on the dot on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and we are broadcasting today from the United States of America. I know it because we're celebrating 250 years of amazing greatness. It's also the place for the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group. We lost them this year, but honor them today. Like Paul Nealon, Scranton, David Mrazek, Scranton, Charles Sabatel, Pittston. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, irreplaceable, and profoundly wise founding fathers who knew that government should not be, and then did everything they could to make sure it would not be. Our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Because they knew that government power, because of human nature, would be abused and should only be a necessary evil designed to protect and organize society. The United States of America is the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared by law to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials. It's ours because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, no matter how they abuse it. Now, because they were armed with these freedoms, and only because of that fact, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, many of them rejects from around the world, they and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our total, immersive, immovable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here for the balance of this singular, extraordinary morning. Well, if you want to see how lathered up I am, we are running on live stream. You go to YouTube, WILK News Radio. Well, just WILK, Bob Cordaro Show. And you'll see the deal brought to you by Roach Supply, ROCHE. Roach Supply is the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania, celebrating 75 years in business. 95-year-old veteran Ron Roach at the helm, 2 generations working side by side with him. Visit Roach Supply, ROCHE supply.com today, or go to their store in Hazelden or Chapman Supply in South Abington Township. All great. I assure you of that. Listen, I don't have to tell you much. If somebody's in business, we talk about the Picardos all the time as well. If somebody's in business for 75 years, that tells you everything you need to know. Fantastic. Somebody says, Bob, do you have a recording of Donald J. Trump reading that Nixon speech you played at the intro? Of course we have a recording. We played it. Listen, you are not giving me assignments. I love all of you, but you're not giving me assignments to go look something up or send something somewhere. You got to listen to the show. That's why we play this stuff. And we love it. But you got to listen to the show or you won't hear it. And you won't hear it anyplace else for the most part. If you hear it someplace else, it's usually after we play it. Believe me, you're on the cutting edge here. You are. I was thinking about this country a lot lately. I think a lot of us are. And we're looking at it and we say, how amazing is this place? Like, how amazing. We literally took rejects from around the world. Any of us who are here now are the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-great-grandchildren, all that, of someone or some family that left somewhere else because they were dissatisfied, they were discriminated against, they were not succeeding, and in some rare cases, they just were pioneer spirits who said, yeah, I got it really good here. I have it really good in my home country, but I'm going to America just to see what it's all about and make something happen. I mean, that's the rarer side of things. They came for religious freedom. They came for economic freedom. They came for a new start. Or they were booted out. And we say it in the opening. People say, well, the opening. And I said, the opening is the show. It tells us these rejects, people from other countries, most of whom couldn't make it there or got kicked out. How do you come up with the United States of America? Now, naturally, you can say, well, all these tremendous resources were here. These resources are everywhere else also. Everywhere else around the planet. And you had to have the courage to exploit the resources. And this country didn't start from sea to shining sea. Somebody had the vision to go in the thickest of the thick woods and keep expanding and expanding and expanding. It was the American spirit as it was created. And the sad part, 250 years in, we've got the regressive spirit. They call themselves progressives. They're the exact opposite. They want to regress from pioneering spirit, from can-do. To say, well, we can't, we're oppressed. We need the government to step in on everything, every aspect of our lives, because we can't do it. That's not the American spirit. They're anti-American. What a country, though. But the freedom, back to the point, the freedoms that were put in place for the first time and, frankly, for the only time in history. And I lay them out in the opening, always. We can be with who we want and associate with who we want. We can worship or not worship the way we want. We could pursue our economic future the way we want. We could speak about anything we feel the way we want. And there would be freedom of the press as part of that. That's why the country is the best ever by a mile. It's not even close. We prove it over and over and over and over again. And why these rejects became this amazing, amazing country. And gosh, thank our founding fathers for getting that done. They knew how petty people were. They knew human nature was not good. And they set up a system that says, we'll take advantage of greed so that it helps the most possible people. We'll take advantage of people grabbing for power, but protect against it because the person next to them will also be free. The genius, the brilliance. But then there had to be execution, and there had to be formed an American spirit, an American ethos, an American culture. And it has been, and it is under vicious assault at age 250. That's why the battle is over, but the war goes on. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. The Marcells. Murph tells us this date, 1961. They performed on ABC's television show American Bandstand, performing their hit Blue Moon. So at different times, I'll find something or see something. My friend T. Bell sent me something last night, and Mark the Shark's on top of this as well. Trump made a cryptic sort of statement. And I don't know, it was just intriguing. In the middle of a speech that will be fighting the communists again or two. I don't remember the context. And then he released a Truth Social. And it said, the communists are finally making their move. I've been waiting and preparing for this for a long time. It's easy to be a communist. All you have to do is say, I'll give you everything. But that means you're taking it away from others who have earned it. Over thousands of years, that ideology has not worked once. The game is on. Enjoy watching President Donald J. Trump. I got so fired and lathered up over that. It's on. And he's paying attention to this. I've never ascribed intellect to Donald Trump. I think he operates primarily on instinct. But when he sees something like this and takes it as, and it is, it's a life and death struggle. It really is. They will kill America. It is, by the way, it's their stated intent. The Democrat Party is overtaken by communists. Let's stop the socialist bullspit. It ain't socialism. It's communism. Why would you put a veneer on something that disgraceful? It's them telling people what to do, how to do it. And every time it's been put in place, somebody says, well, no, I don't want to be a laborer. I want to be an artist. Whatever. No. We need laborers. That's where you're going. See, this is how it goes. And oppression follows every time, not some of the time, not just a little bit. And Donald Trump declaring war on the communists, which is the Democrat Party, it's a home run. It's exciting. It is very exciting. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Let's hear from our sponsors. We'll come back. We got a special veterans tribute. Then we have the weather. We've got calls, whatever you want. 570-883-0098. I'm feeling that 4th of July spirit. I'm feeling that 250th spirit. It's coming on. It's overwhelming me. I love it. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, this day as with every day. Dutifully, proudly, patriotically. Brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And it's Friday, so we feature the Basiliga Hospitality Group. 3 great bar restaurants that'll make your weekend, I tell you. The Queen City Tavern in downtown Oliphant. The Far Street Tavern on Far Street in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton. And the Old Brook Inn at 307 Springbrook Township. Just cool places to hang out. Clean, beautiful service. The food, the drinks, the service. Awesome. Fine dining, you got that. Atera 519, downtown Scranton. It is awesome. And I mean the word awe. Stegmar Mansion, an old school take on the same feeling. Amazing. And Sergei's Live, that'll be the nightclub. Everything will be happening. Tonight, Saturday, fogies like me, we come early and we enjoy Sergei's. Then we go back upstairs to Atera. Charles Sabatel. Rocky passed away April 12th this year, as he wished, at home, surrounded by his wife of 59 years, Jane, sons Chucky, Jason, AJ, wives Jen and Mari. Today would have been his birthday, June 26th. Born in Dunmore, 1945. A 1963 graduate of Dunmore High School, where he played football with dear friends, my old buddies too, Pat Sandone and the late Van Giovacci. Rocky had a great knowledge of the meat industry. In younger years, he worked for the Houghton-owned Giant Markets. He was a meat specialist for Wetterau Food Services. In 1978, though, he and his Jane, they set out in true American tradition and opened Sabatel's Italian Market in Pittston. Gifted with an extraordinary artist ability, he enjoyed drawing, sketching, painting. He did it every day. Along with his Pittston friends, Joe and Sammy, Rocky enjoyed going to car shows, shining his Studebaker. He loved having coffee at Al's Quick Mart, Elmhurst, and family night pizza at Al's with Jimmy Cortez and friends. Charles' life was filled with plans, determination, respect, and blessings. Surviving, his wife of 59 years, Jane Dewar Sabatel. Sons Chucky and wife Mari, West Pittston. Jason, Scranton, my buddy. AJ and his wife, Jen. A slew of grandchildren. Brother, sisters-in-law, other family members. Uncle Charlie was truly blessed to have a very special relationship with all his nieces and nephews who survive him. Charles Rocky Sabatel. And with us, the woman who's carrying on the tradition at Sabatel's in Pittston, Jane Sabatel, his wife. Jane, how are you?
Oh, Bob, thank you so much for this day, for this blessing, and to honor my Rocky.
I'm so excited it landed on his birthday to remember him. And
yes, thank you.
1978. I mean, the economy's in rough shape.
Mm-hmm.
You guys start a store. You say, hey, let's start our own business.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Sounds crazy.
He was the brains, Bob, the brains behind this successful business.
Gosh,
he gave us direction. We followed it. He'd call us 3-4 times a day. Did you get this? Did you order that? Don't forget what's next. Da, 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 da. And, the boys totally respected him. He was very, very wise. He knew his business, and knew the meat business, knew how to be successful, and we just followed suit. We were like little soldiers marching behind this little guy. He was one in a million, Bob. He was a very unique. Over 500 people came to his viewing, and we were blown away. You know,
I love the one thing in his obituary. I loved a lot about his obituary. But it said Charles' life was filled with plans, determination, respect, and blessings.
Bob, he left a book with all kinds of information for my sons to follow. You know, treat customers with respect, follow through on what you're going to do. If it's your day, make sure you do what you said you were going to do this day. Be kind, be, resourceful, use your brains. And the kids were at the mass. They were, my oldest son, Chucky, was giving a tribute. The boys did. And he was going down. Dad left us a list of rules where they took down the church. They were, they were just so, but people knew him. He was very determined. He had lists, he had books, and he told me he was going to live to be 103. But God intervened. He had a lot of health issues, and I put everything in the obituary, but where he served. And that was my remiss not putting that in. But he was in the U.S. Army Reserves, enlisted when he was 20 years old. The headquarters were on Colfax Avenue in Scranton. And he served from July 1965 to 1971. Loved the military. Loved the,
And he had to have been friends with Sam Sorrenti.
Oh, yeah. Is Sam a Dunmorian?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Once a Dunmorian, always a Dunmorian, And he just had wonderful friends, and, he was just a unique person, and we miss him terribly, especially on today would have been his 81st birthday. Yeah. And, the boys we're getting through. We're getting through. It's so new, it stings,
Yeah.
But
I'm so honored to do this. And Jane Sabatel, when we talk about him, I said, as I'm reading it, I'm chuckling with tears in my eyes simultaneously. I think that's the family's reaction as well, right?
Oh, definitely.
You can't help but chuckle. But I'm emotional all the same.
He was very, very determined, and if he set out a plan, it always worked. He would say, well, we're going to do this, and we're going to change this up at the store. And he had a roast named after him, the Rocky Roast. They would come in for that. We made his sausage recipes, kielbasa. We did everything there. And he'd say, try this. We started out with one Italian hoagie, and now we have a 4-page menu. Anybody could walk in. We'll give you a fresh cut steak. You want ground beef. Customer service beyond belief. And we do gift baskets. But, the Pittston is a wonderful town. We don't live there. We live up in the Moscow area. But they've rallied around us. The customers, they're still coming in, giving us condolences cards and letters. And, but Rocky was a true gentleman. And Dapper Dan, always dressed to the nines. I have about 100 fedora hats that he always wore, and I might wear them to work, Keep it going, Bob.
I'll
Keep
tell you,
it going.
between you and Rocky, no shortage of characters there.
Well, I come from a long list of them. My brother Duke Dewar and EJ the DJ. I'm all in that clan, and they are characters.
My old buddy Duke, that is beyond classic. Classic.
He was just so, we loved him dearly. I come from a nice big family, and they all supported me through this. Rocky had a rough ending, just with his health, heart attack at 58, and just went into a lot of different health issues. Good doctoring, but he was tough. That determination. He'd say, I'm going to get through this, and he would. But 3 years ago, everything shut down. He was intubated, food tube, dialysis, came through everything to see our beautiful baby Maeve being born. And I know God had a plan, and it's tough today, but we're going to get through it. We're good people, and he was a good guy,
Well, Jane, my thanks to Sue Henry for helping make this happen this morning, too.
Girl.
But Rocky Sabatel, Jane Sabatel, thank you so much for calling in
Oh,
and being part of this. It's
Bob,
an honor for me. But
I
he deserves the tribute.
I know, and you deserve a tribute too for how you stand behind our vets. And I just want to say, with the celebrating our 250 year of this beautiful country, please support the veterans, the men, the women. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for what they do. And we have a great, great country. Don't take it for granted.
Amen.
And
Amen.
you taking care of them and supporting them, it goes a long way, Bob. Honest to God,
Well,
we appreciate you.
Jane, thank you so much. Love you and
Love
the
you,
whole
Bob.
the whole gang, the doers and the Sabatels. Love it.
Come down. We'll give you a superset with the works to go.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
Right.
Jane
Love you, dear.
Sabatel, calling in about our man Rocky, our veteran. This hour brought to you by another great guy, John Basiliga and the Basiliga Hospitality Group. We'll be back. Oh, Bulldog says the weather. I wanted to take a break. He's looking at me. He's shaking his head. Well, it is time for the weather, but we didn't have to do it right now, Bulldog. And it's brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resort. I'm trying to recover from the Veterans Tribute. With the AccuWeather forecast brought to you by our friends at Montage. Today, times of clouds and sun. It was cloudy this morning. Looks a little murky and all that. Rained overnight. But it's going to be sunny this afternoon, high 83. Tonight, a couple of showers late. 63 degrees for the low. Tomorrow, Saturday, clouds, breaks of sun, humid with a couple of showers, high 77, low 61. Sunday, warmer with intervals of clouds and sun. It's going to get up to 85 with a low of 58. Man, we are into Montage Mountain Water Park territory here. Monday, mostly cloudy and hot, high 90, low 62. Tuesday, hot with sun, some clouds, chance for a thunderstorm in the afternoon, but it's going to be 92 degrees next Tuesday, low 70 degrees. And that's your WETA, brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain Resort. They are ready to cool you off. Get up there. It's 68 degrees right now on Montage Mountain. Murph tells us John Lennon, Paul McCartney wrote the song She Loves You at Turk's Hotel, Newcastle, England. This date, 1963. Joseph Tarachinsky, Pennsylvania State Police. Trooper William K. Jenkins III received the Purple Heart from the state police. Injury sustained in the line of duty. You think of it only in the context of our military. But don't forget our cops. Don't forget our state policemen. I cut that out yesterday. It's just great. Somebody texts in, Bob LTS. We have a wonderful country as long as we keep the give me masses from getting into power. Just like JFK's Ask Not speech. We need to keep fighting for America. Thank you, Bob. Exactly. Rich McHale reminding us of something we played yesterday about Paige Cognetti disarming the cops. She's insane. I've been telling you this. And all you have to do is go by her words. You don't even listen to me. You could say, but he doesn't like. Well, first of all, I don't know her. I don't dislike her. Unfortunately, she's a woke left-wing lunatic and is doing a horrible job in my city, Scranton. And she wants to be a woke lunatic left-winger in Washington, part of the squad. And her words and actions speak for themselves if you will pay attention. Yeah, just Rich says, message to Paige Cognetti, we refuse to disarm. So nutty you can't even, you really can't, you'd think she can't be serious. This is not for real. I'm reading people who are either staged by or have things written for them. And our horrible local newspapers will print the letters to the editor, repeatedly talking about cuts to Medicare and Medicaid that never happened. How could you be proud to vote for someone whose entire political party is based on lies? And they've told the lies for so long that now the communists have taken over the party. What is the absolute kingdom of lies? A communist country, a communist government. They've now taken over the Democrat Party because those idiots, those fools, kept conceding, and now the entire party was, all their campaigns based on lies. There were no Medicare cuts, there were no Medicaid cuts. Just check it out. How much was spent last year? How much was spent this year after the big mediocre bill? Just total lies. And this is what they do. And they expect there to be some sort of respect for government, for what they say, for institutions, when they're all based on lies. It's a remarkable thing. It's a scary thing. We are within the United States of America. We are in a fight with communists and Islamists for the soul of this country. And you're going to have to choose. And you're going to have to do something about it. For now, you just have to vote. Common sense against the Communist Party, the Democrats. That's it. Common sense. You've got to tell Democrat elected officials who are normal, do not support communists like Shapiro, who, by the way, giving more money to radical Islamists in Philadelphia trying to prove that I'm not that Jewish. I want to be president of the United States. I'm not that Jewish. Don't worry about me. I'm down with the Islamists. Yeah. Unbelievable. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. My Picardo Jewelers watch says it's 10:01 and change. Let's do the news. We'll be back. Rick Bigelow. He sent me some stuff about how we needed to stop. It's be a shorter Rick Bigelow, but when we could have stopped Hitler. And it's so appropriate now, particularly with the Islamists on the march, with Iran, and we'll talk about all of that after this newscast. We'll be back. You know it, baby. Great good morning, everyone. It's 10:10 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Friday, June 26th, year of our Lord 2026, here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John. Like Paul Nealon, Scranton, Dave Mrazek, Scranton, and Charles Rocky Sabatel, Moscow. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, who we will not allow to be canceled, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment, this meeting, today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. Well, he's got to be one of America's favorite guys. He really has to be. He is coming in for July 18th. Steve Sciarippa. The first 1,500 fans are going to get a bobblehead doll. I don't know if he's ever had one of those before, but you know Steve Sciarippa, obviously, from The Sopranos. But beyond that, one of my other favorite shows, Blue Bloods. He appeared in 146 episodes of that program. 110 episodes of The Secret Life of the American Teenager. He's also a New York Times bestselling author with titles such as A Goomba's Guide to Life and Nicky Deuce to his credit. He also co-wrote Woke Up This Morning, the definitive oral history of The Sopranos. He'll be in town next month, and here he is now, Steve Sciarippa. Steve, welcome to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Hey, Bob, how you doing, my friend? How's everything?
Doing great. So happy to have you on. Obviously, your career is storied. And, I mean, even your commercials for the dog food are like mini movies or something. They're certainly completely memorable.
Yeah. Well, listen, I started late in life, Bob. I'm originally from New York. Then I moved to Las Vegas when I graduated college, and I was started acting there. I worked in one of the hotels. I was an executive, and I was dabbling in acting as a hobby. And I was 41 years old. I had 2 kids, and I came to New York for a wedding. I auditioned, and that was the story. I moved my family back to New York, and luckily I took a shot and, banked on myself, took a gamble, and it worked out.
Steve Sciarippa, was that The Sopranos that you auditioned for?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had done some work before, I did some dabbling, but then I went back for a wedding. A friend of mine was getting married, and I had said to him, listen, I had gotten married 10 years earlier. I said, if you ever get married, I'm going to come. So I went back to New York, and Sage, a friend of mine, got me the audition. And that first season, they wouldn't pay, they paid me crappy. And they wouldn't fly me or put me up. So it cost me $24,000 to make $22,000. I'm not joking. I took a shot. My wife was all in. And the following year, they made me a series regular, and they moved us back to New York. And wow. I took a cut in pay to be on The Sopranos. Yeah. I was an executive at the Riviera Hotel, and I took a shot. It worked out, and I've been on 3 series, great series. The last one, Blue Bloods, which was just wonderful, working with Tom Selleck and those guys, and it's been good. I got a kids book out now, Willie Boy Eats the World. That's done very well. It's a children's book, and I've had other books, and we're going to be out here on the 18th. This is my second bobblehead. I'm very proud of that, and Willie will be with me, and we'll throw out the first pitch and take pictures and do a Q&A, and meet the fans, and it's going to be a good night and a lot of fun. I'm a big baseball fan. I'm a big Yankee fan. So that's the story. That's my story in a nutshell. And that's the deal, my friend.
It cost you money to become Bobby Bacala.
It cost me money, absolutely, positively, for years. For years, I had to catch up, because I came in late, so I was a little behind the other guys, pay-wise. I finally caught up towards the end, and I did a lot of things, Bob. I knew I had to do a lot of stuff. I had to work hard to kind of make up for lost time. So I had an idea for a book. It became a New York Times bestseller. I used to do a bunch of appearances all around the country. I did commercials. I hosted a few shows for Discovery. I had to. The Sopranos gave me the opportunity. It opened up a door wide where everyone at the time, it was the hottest show ever, which it still is 20 years later, but the hottest show ever, that it gave me opportunities to, everyone wanted to see you, have a meeting. And from that, after the Sopranos, I wanted to get away from that mob stuff, and I played a suburban dad for 5 years on a show in L.A., and then Blue Bloods came. I've been very lucky. I've worked for the last 26 years straight. I did a few Hallmark movies last year, which I love doing. No killing, no screaming, no yelling. I killed more people on Blue Bloods than I ever did on The Sopranos.
Steve Sharippa is our guest, and he'll be coming July 18th to the stadium, PNC Park, here in Music, and doing a bobblehead deal. Steve, so you get into acting. You start playing on The Sopranos. There used to be a thing called Q score, and that was how likable a person was. So as soon as you got the spotlight, they had to say, this guy's Q score is off the charts. We've got to put him in wherever we could fit him. I mean, you're just incredibly likable, and I know people that know you, and they're like, no, that's him.
Yeah, well, you know what, Bob? This is the deal. Listen, I was older. I'm 40 years old. I got a wife. I got a big house in Vegas. I got 2 kids. I know everyone in town. Listen, what you see is what you get. I mean, I'm not a liar. I'm not a Hollywood guy. I don't hang around with actors. You know what I mean? My friends that I grew up with are still my friends. I'd rather hang out with the crew than hang out with other actors. I don't sit there pontificating, about acting and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? That's just not me. You know what I mean? I'm a sports guy. I'm a common sense guy. You know what I mean? I care deeply about my family. I mean, that's what I care about, my career. And now listen, I pick and choose. I got to the point where I'm not chasing it anymore. Mm-hmm. If something good comes along, I do it. I just turned down something I didn't want to do. If something good comes along, I do it. If not, I bought a house in Rhode Island. I split my time between New York and Rhode Island, and what you see is what you get. I don't go on a talk show and tell stories. I don't want to hang out with the actors and kiss their ass and tell them how great they are. I don't go for any of that,
Steve Sharippa is our guest. Steve, I got a couple of questions people asked me, and then I've got one. But there was a number of references to the Scranton area. One where Tony tells Silvio Dante, hey, you got things great. What are you worried about in the Columbus Day edition? You got a kid at Lackawanna College. And then there's another one where one of the guys comes back and they go, how was Boston? He says, Scranton with clams. Was there anybody in the writing group or part of the production that had a familiarity or came from Scranton area?
I don't think so. I mean, it's very possible, but I don't think so. But, early on, there was a lot of writers, and then it came down to there was just a handful, and of that group, I don't think so. They were from New York. I think there was somebody from Providence, and David Chase is from Jersey. No, I don't think so.
So just a proximity thing. Now, somebody else asked me, and this was something I hadn't thought about. You got to perform with Burt Young. Not a lot of scenes with him, but Burt Young, one of his last roles, when he played your father on The Sopranos. Tell us about him.
Burt Young is one of the most underrated actors ever. You know, we know Burt from the Rocky movies, but before that, he was. I think he trained with Stella Adler. And he had been around. He was in Chinatown. He was in a lot of movies in the old days. Burt was a legitimate star.
Yeah.
But then, he did, 3, 4, 5, whatever it was, Rocky movies. So you know him as Paulie. But he's done so much more. And, they tried. I remember them asking me if my real father was alive. They were looking for anybody but Burt Young. I don't know why. He auditioned, and they were looking, and they kept looking, and finally they settled on Burt, and he was just wonderful, and he passed away a couple of years ago, and I got to be friendly with Burt. I worked with him a couple of other times, and I really like Burt Young, and a very, very underrated actor.
I heard you talk about it in the past where you said, everybody was a little bit on edge whether your character was going to get killed in The Sopranos, and you were fortunate enough to make it to pretty much the end.
Yeah, well, listen, this was a legit, you would get the script. Back then they used to FedEx it to you, and you would look in the beginning and see if your character was in it, and then you look at the end to see if they were going to kill you. I didn't buy an apartment in New York until the show was over. I was the first thing I did when I made any money was paid off my house in Vegas. I figured if all else failed, we just pack up and go back to Vegas. We got a place to live, and we'll figure things out. It was, the more they gave your character to do, the better chance you're going to get killed off because the audience is invested in you,
Yeah, amazing. Well, one of the shows, another favorite of mine, I watch it going to bed every night. I watch reruns of Blue Bloods. You worked with Selleck and a great ensemble cast of characters, and it was a very different part that you played.
Yeah, well, I played the role of a detective, and it was different, and it was great. And I went in to do one, maybe two, and I wound up doing 146.
Yeah.
I was on the show for 9 years. I loved working with Tom Selleck. I was a fan, though we were only in 2 scenes together. He was always very complimentary when I saw him because, we shot in Brooklyn, and the studios there were broken up. So the
Silver
different
Cup?
buildings.
Is that where you were, Silver Cup?
No, Silver Cup was The Sopranos.
Okay.
This was the Brooklyn stages, and in Greenpoint. And so there was different buildings around the neighborhood. So he worked there, and I worked there. So you didn't really see each other all that much. Always a good guy. I like Tom a lot. Very smart guy and an iconic TV actor and just a kind of actor. He did some great movies also. People forget about all the great movies he did. Wahlberg, a good guy. Bridget Moynihan, I loved working with. That was
she was
really
your
good
main
group.
foil in the show.
Yes,
Bridget Moynihan.
Yes,
yeah.
and she was great. She's a great, great actress. Great, always prepared. Never had a problem. We got along beautifully. I enjoyed working with her tremendously.
You had, by the time you started with all of these episodes of Blue Bloods, you really were ingrained as an actor, Steve Sciarippa, right?
Yeah. Well, at the beginning, during The Sopranos, I had worked, but I was a little green. And Dominic Chianese, Uncle Junior, was a very big help to me at the beginning. And then I got an acting coach, and I would go to, he lives in the East Village in New York, and I would go get the script and go to his apartment and break it down. And he taught me a lot. Sometimes I would rehearse the scene with him and then go to the studio and shoot it. So he was a big help to me. He passed away. A gentleman named Richard Scanlon. I was with him for about 8 years. Then I worked with another acting coach, Joanna Bexon. Dirty little secret, Jim Gandolfini had an acting coach the entire way. You never stop learning with this stuff. And it's confidence and it's learning. It takes you years,
Yeah.
years. This isn't something you just learn. And by then, listen, I'm confident. I'm prepared. I'm very. I prep. I don't just wing it. I don't get to the set. Oh, we'll take care of that. I really do my preparation and my my thoughts on things, and that's how I work. I've worked with some very big actors, and most people are nice. You always get an ass once in a blue moon. But for the most part, it's been a good ride.
We had the pleasure of meeting Dominic Chianese when his singing career. He would appear at smaller clubs throughout New York City in particular.
He's still doing it. He's still doing it.
Amazing.
I was at his apartment last Friday.
No
Me,
kidding.
Michael Imperioli, and him. We had lunch last Friday at his apartment. He's 95 years old. He's doing fine. He goes out a few nights a week. He's still playing the guitar around the city. And he was living in London for a few years. His wife is from London, and then she passed away. And he's just doing great. He is sharp as can be. We have a lot of laughs. One of my favorite people in the world.
Well, another guy I became friend with was Federico Castelluccio.
Good guy,
through
great
Paul
actor.
Sorvino, and he artist and discovered paintings and all this. You really put
Listen,
together.
I love Paul. I was a huge Paul Sorvino fan, and then I got to work with him early on in 2000 up in Vancouver, and we stayed friends. And I love Paul Sorvino. He was just wonderful, and he used to watch Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
He was very complimentary to me all the time. He and Federico played Furio. I don't see anyone else that could have played that role as good as Federico.
Yeah, and he's nothing like the character, which makes it even
not
more
at
hilarious.
all. Not at all. Yeah, no, he was great. Just great.
Well, Sorvino has a great history here. He made a movie here. He lived here for a while, and we miss him. Yeah, good friend of mine.
I really like Paul, and I did 2 movies with him. And listen, Paul wasn't easy on the set. You know what I mean?
He was tough.
He was not easy.
He thought he knew it all. Yeah.
Well, the director better walked on eggshells. But a wonderful, wonderful actor. I really like Paul a lot. He was a good guy. And we went to, I think he had a book out. Was it a book? Yeah, he had a book. And I went to his book party. He had a book party in a restaurant, and he got up and he sang opera, and it was a memorable moment.
Well, you don't sing, do you, Steve?
No, I can barely speak. I barely speak English.
Well, Steve Sciarippa, we appreciate you being on. We're excited to have you come into town July 18th for
July 18th.
Bobblehead.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Pictures and autographs and Q&A, and hope people come out. We'll see good night of baseball, get a bobblehead. We'll have a lot of fun.
All right. Steve Sciarippa, thank you so much for being on the Bob Cordaro Show. We look forward to talking to you again.
Take care, pal.
All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, this day as with every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. It's Friday. I start thinking, well, where am I going with the Basiliga Hospitality Group? How many of these places could I hit this weekend? When I'm thinking bar restaurants, I think of 3, and they are outstanding. The Old Brook Inn, 307, Springbrook Township. The Far Street Tavern, on Far Street in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton. Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. By the way, all 3 of these, great event spaces. And then there'll be some fine dining. Atera 519, downtown Scranton. I'm telling you, the beauty of it is staggering. It's one of the greatest dining experiences you'll ever have. New chef, developing a new menu, new pricing, all of that at Atera 519. The Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. An old world take on the same incredible fine dining experience. Nightclub, yeah, we got that too. Sergei's Live, right underneath Atera. It'll be hopping all weekend long. And guys my age, we could go in a little earlier. We go to 8, 9 o'clock. That's our time. Then back upstairs to Atera. Paul Nealon. He was from Scranton. We lost him April 13th. Survived by his wife for 64 years, Sally Trapper Nealon. 3 children, 8 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. Proud veteran of the United States Navy. He worked a long career as a field engineer with IBM in Scranton before he and Sally retired to Whispering Pines, North Carolina, eventually to Huntersville, North Carolina, to be closer to family. Along the way, Paul was able to share his talents and creativity by being involved in various community activities, culminating in the naming of a local park in his honor. He was known for his kindness, great laugh, and little red truck loaded with tools. His legacy is secured in all the seasonal decorations and projects within his communities, homes, and gardens. He enjoyed simple pleasures, a good happy hour, a well-made Manhattan, time spent with family, and laughter shared with friends. Paul Nealon, our great veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and the Basiliga Hospitality Group. AccuWeather forecast, it is brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain Resort. This is the time. This is the time to get up to that great water park. Today, times of clouds and sun, but it'll be a high of 83 this afternoon. Tonight, a couple of showers late, down to 63. Saturday, clouds and breaks of sun, humid, maybe a couple of showers, 77 degrees with a low of 61. Now it really gets to water park weather. Sunday, warmer with intervals of clouds and sun, high 85, low 58. Monday, mostly cloudy and hot, 90, low 62. Tuesday, hot with sun, some clouds, chance for a thunderstorm in the afternoon, 92 degrees. The low will be 70. And that's your weather, brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resort, where the water park is really cooking. 70 degrees at Montage Mountain right now. The Byrds. Murph tells us this date, 1965, the Byrds moved up to number one with their version of Mr. Tambourine Man. Brian, the landscaper, texts in. He says, Bob, LTS, back at you, Brian. Paul Servino story. I ran into him about 30 years ago at the Steamtown Mall. I went up to him and said, hi, Paul, what are you doing here? He said, buying my mom's shoes at Boscov's. Brian said, I didn't know what to say next. He said, I meant in Scranton. I became good friends with Paul, and he'd made that dud of a movie here, but the whole point was to prove we could make movies here. Not that he could make a good movie or a bad movie, but politics intervened, as it always does around here with silly, silly people. But, yeah, Brian, Paul was a character. All right. We've got a couple of things that we want to talk about. Well, one of them is there's a Carnegie Monument Carnegie Monument, the Carnegie Heroes Anthracite Memorial, and Mike Korb is on with us to talk about that. It is upcoming. Mike, how are you?
Good morning, Bob. Thank you for having me on again.
Happy to. All right, give us the who, what, where, when, and why.
Okay, the Anthracite Heritage Foundation, King's College, and Carnegie Hero Fund are honoring the 40 anthracite miners who've been recognized with the Carnegie Hero medals over the years.
And this is tomorrow. It's upon us, isn't it?
Tomorrow.
Wow. 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at the Alley Center Auditorium. We're going to have the presentations inside at the auditorium so that we don't have to worry about the weather. There will be unveiling and a dedication of the monument in the park outside afterwards. Hopefully the sun will be shining by then.
No, the weather will be good enough for this. I think I'll tell you, this is really great, and the Carnegie Medal is for individuals with engaged in extraordinary acts of courage. And this is about the miners, isn't it?
That's correct. These are the 40 miners. These are the 40 anthracite miners who have gotten a medal. One of the speakers will be a great grandson of one of the heroes. He has his Carnegie Medal. He has a scarf that he wore across his face when the rescue crew went into the after the explosion into where the gas was. All he had was a scarf that he put across a bandana that he put across his face.
And that's the great grandson of John Tennant Brown. He got the Carnegie Medal for saving 4 men after an explosion, January 10, 1911, at Hoyt Shaft near Pittston. Wow.
That's correct.
Now, the list also includes the late miner Amadeo Pancotti of Pittston, one of the heroes of the Knox mine disaster of 1959.
That's right. There were a lot. Most of the 40 winners were actually from the Wilkes-Barre Scranton area.
Yeah.
Many of them from Pittston. But I think that more than half were from the Wilkes-Barre Scranton area.
Yeah. Well, this is great stuff. So tomorrow, 1 o'clock, right off the square, King's College, you'll have the event at the Alley Center at King's College, which is also on Public Square. You'll go outside, unveil the monument. Man, good stuff. 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, the park itself, the Memorial Park itself, is right next to the Chick-fil-A, between the DEP building, where the Chamber of Commerce is, and the Chick-fil-A.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Thank you to all of you who've gotten together to do this. It is a great honor.
We had about maybe 10 donors of a substantial amount of money that we needed to do this, and we thank them very much also.
Great. So, well, you could thank them for us. Who are they?
I'm sorry, I don't have the list in front of me, but there will be a plaque in the park that has their names on it.
All right. Well, Mike Korb, thank you very much for all of it. We appreciate it.
Bob, we appreciate you having us on so many times. We look forward to having a lot of people there.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. And there should be. That's for sure. Thank you.
Thanks,
Mike
Bob.
Korb, Carnegie Heroes Anthracite Memorial, right off of Public Square tomorrow, 1 o'clock. This is really something that's worth it. Now, there's something else going on. Not tomorrow, but July 11th and 12th. All right? It's the Battle of Wyoming reenactment. And on this, with us now, our man Daniel, and he wants to talk about it. Tell us about what this event is. I love this stuff. It's good.
Yes, well, I'm with the 24th Connecticut Militia Regiment, which is a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and we are going to be hosting a reenactment of the Battle of Wyoming on July 11 and 12 at Nesbitt Park. And so we're going to have an encampment there, food trucks, there's going to be demonstrations. The camp's going to be open on Saturday, 10 to 5, and on Sunday, 10 to 4. The main attraction on Saturday is going to be what we're calling Shades of Walk immersive, Shades of Death immersive walk, which we're going to be, those who come along will be going through a wooded area next to Kirby Park, and it'll be taking you back in time as if you were in the woods trying to escape from the valley after the Battle of Wyoming. And then on Sunday, the main feature is going to be the reenactment of the battle itself as well.
Great stuff. So July 3rd of 1778, there's about 350 local men and boys. They marched out of the fort at Forty Fort about 2 in the afternoon, fife and drum playing. There was a threat of British loyalists coming to attack, and they got it, and they went at it. And it was there was also the Harding Massacre part of this. It's really you people don't realize that our history goes back to the Revolutionary War.
It definitely does. And the Harding Massacre, as you mentioned, there's going to be a ceremony at the Harding-Jenkins Cemetery in West Pittston Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. To honor those that were killed in that. This Sunday, the 28th. But that was a precursor to the battle. And when that happened, that was basically letting everybody know that yes, the loyalists are here, and we need to be ready to fight them. And again, on July 3rd, as you mentioned, they left the fort. They went up to what is now Wyoming and Exeter, and the actual battlefield was basically between Schooley Avenue and Valley Street. Is where the actual battlefield takes place. It was during the time. So so that was the Harding Massacre was the precursor, and then you had the actual battle. Of those 350 to 400, about 3/4, 50% to 75% of them were killed that day on the battlefield or through the night as afterwards during the attacks that took place afterwards. And so. But
by the way, one of our listeners, Big Cat, he points out the state of Wyoming was named to honor the Battle of Wyoming.
That's correct. Yes.
I never knew that. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yes, it is definitely. I'm not sure how they where they got the idea or who thought of doing that, making that honor. But yes, it was definitely after our Battle of Wyoming. That they got the state name from, yes.
All right, well, you'll have to call in again because the reenactment's a few weeks off. So after the 4th, let's have you check in again, and we'll talk about this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for squeezing me in today, and I appreciate your time and helping us out with this.
All right, my man, we'll do it again. This is important stuff. Appreciate it. Daniel with the 24th Connecticut. That's important stuff. I did not know. Think of the enormity of that. The state of Wyoming named after this battle. And we've got people right here who are commemorating it. Great stuff. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it is sweeping up to 10:50, which means it's time for the Bloomberg Money Minute. Murph tells us the Stones, June 26th. I don't have the year, but they moved from number 26 to number 4 with their hit Satisfaction. It's got to be, 64? Something like that. Bob Cordaro back with you. By the way, I always liked him, but I didn't know he was such a phony. John Bolton. He was in the first Trump administration. Now, the same John Bolton who spent years criticizing Trump's handling of classified material. He's going to plead guilty to a felony of mishandling classified material. He's going to face a fine of $2.25 million. Now, how did they arrive at it? Pretty much from his book proceeds. The irony's airtight. The man who made the rounds on every TV network warning about Trump and classified documents is today's defendant. Just another one of the phonies. Let's be precise about what he did. Bolton compiled classified national security information during his time in government under Trump. He took it home and then used it to write a book specifically designed to damage the president. Meanwhile, the same president was being prosecuted for classified document charges. Bolton was calling Trump reckless. This is the swamp, guys. This is the swamp. And thanks to JB for timely sending it me. I had something smaller on this and hadn't gotten to it yet. These phonies are incredible. And I want to repeat again, Donald Trump, he gave us a gift this morning. And that was actually yesterday. The communists are finally making their move, he said on Truth Social. I've been waiting and preparing for this for a long time. It's easy to be a communist. All you have to do is say, I'll give you everything, but that means you're taking it away from others who have earned it. Over thousands of years, that ideology has not worked once. The game is on. Enjoy watching President Donald J. Trump. He's on it. And these kind of establishment scum that jump onto this Democrat Party communism movement, yeah, they're going down. Way to go. All right. Let me try. Donald, I don't want to hold you too long, but we either got to call back later or you got to be really quick because my Bacardo Jewelers watch
says
says
it's just
it's
hold
11.
me over? I'll
we'll be
hold me
happy
over.
to. All right, my man. We love to hear what Donald has to say. Yeah, so the Democrat Party's become the Communist Party. That's the leadership. We're not sugarcoating it on this program anymore. They are communists. That's what they are. By the way, they're having this whole discussion. Well, we've got avowed communists here. No, they're just saying what the Democrat Party has already been doing or trying to do. They're just saying it. They're being honest about who they are. I'll give them at least a shade of respect. You give me the policy differences between these lunatic communists and the Democrat Party. Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, name the Democrat. Give me the difference between them. There's no daylight. But guess what? The communists are saying, get out of the way, you're liars. They're taking my advice, not because I gave it. And they're saying, we're offended that you will lie about our true agenda. Here it is. Stop lying. And we're replacing you because we want to tell the truth about our agenda. I give them credit for that. They'll start lying once there's some blowback. But for now, they're telling the truth. The Democrat leadership is doing the same things, but they're lying about it. That's our Paige Cognetti. Great stuff. Somebody texting in about Bolton. Throw away the key. Yeah. 11:01. heading to 11:02 on my Picardo's watch. We got to do the news. We'll come back. We got Rick Bigelow. When we could have stopped Hitler. We're going to go through all of that. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. You know it, baby. Great good morning, everyone. It's 11:08 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Friday, June 26, year of our Lord 2026 here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John. Like David Mrazek, Scranton. Paul Nealon, Scranton, late of North Carolina. And Charles Rocky Sabatel, Moscow, proprietor of the great Sabatels in Pittston. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. Joe from 44, thank you for reminding me, because we played the JFK cut. Ike, what is it? Ich bin ein Berliner. And that was this date, 1963. He visited West Berlin. And Joe mentions and says, please remind the audience, the hardcore JFK Democrats, that JFK fought against communism. Talk about full circle. Yep. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And so we have this incredible time where the Democrat Party is now owned by the communists and haters of this country because they provide the money, which is the mother's milk of politics. Billionaires like George Soros, billionaires like Singham, billionaire groups like the Arabella Group, Code Blue, or what's it called? Whatever. They've got many names. And they hate the country, and they're trying to drive it into the ground. I cut something else out, or had something else out printed. It says, mice die in mousetraps because they do not understand why the cheese is free. The same thing happens with socialism. And I'm done with this socialism moniker. They're communists. That's what they are. Bent on destruction. They've been our enemy for a century. They now own one of the primary political parties, the Democrat Party. They own it. And they are going to use the Democrat Party as their platform to destroy the country. That's where we're at. And so I thought it's so appropriate to turn to our man Rick Bigelow, because just as with Iran, there's the same naysayers, the same type of people. Oh, he didn't have to go into Iran. Yeah. Use your stupid pea brain and think about a maniacal Islamist leadership with a nuclear weapon and what would happen. Even a dummy gets that. They just pretend it didn't happen. The Communist Party, the Democrat Communist Party, pretending it didn't happen. That's why we do history. That's why we call on Rick Bigelow anytime he's got something to talk about, because what is past is prologue. And speaking of, the man, the patent attorney, the legend, our historian, Rick Bigelow. How are you, Rick?
Doing great, Bob. How about you?
It is so important, Rick, when you sent me some of these things to think about with the opportunity to stop Hitler, we see it internal to this country. We see it external to this country in places like not just the communist Chinese, but the mullahs in Iran. And it is very instructive to go through the background and the opportunities that were bypassed to the misery of the world.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think most of us were kind of aware of the 1938 Munich Agreement, where Prime Minister Chamberlain from the UK met with Hitler, and this was after Hitler had moved in and taken part of Czechoslovakia, and the French and the British were very concerned about that. They went to Munich, had a meeting with Hitler, and Hitler said, "That's it. I'm not going to take any more." And Chamberlain comes back to the UK and gives his famous speech about, "My good friends, I believe it is peace for our time." Within a year, Hitler had reneged on that and attacked the Low Countries. And then a little bit later, about a year or so later, he reneged on the pact that he had signed with the Soviets and invaded the Soviet Union under Operation Barbarossa with 3 million troops. So I think this tells you, you can sign agreements and think you have peace deals, but you better be able to back it up and do something about it. So we get into the opportunities they had to stop Hitler before World War II. And I think a little bit of background, Hitler never got more than 37% of the vote in German elections. It's not like he had 75 or 80% and he had overwhelming support among the Germans. There were all kinds of political parties in Germany, and he was one of them. And by 1933, his party got 37% of the vote, and that was the most. But in the next election, he actually lost votes. So he figured he needed to do something and make his power play. So what does he do? He goes back into what was known as the Rhineland. And when we talked about going into Germany and crossing the Rhine and making the move towards Berlin a few days ago, we talked about the Rhineland, which basically was the Ruhr and the Saar industrial valleys around the Rhine River and so on. After World War I, Treaty of Versailles declared the Rhineland a demilitarized zone, removed it from German control, and directed occupation by the French and the British. Now, of course, the United States never signed the Treaty of Versailles, and it was not ratified by the Senate because there were a lot of senators who didn't want to join the League of Nations. And we actually signed a separate peace treaty with Germany in 1921, and that treaty of 1921 said we had all the rights of the Treaty of Versailles, but we were not to. We didn't have any military and peacekeeping obligations.
Fascinating.
That the French and
I
the
didn't
British
know
did.
that. I did not know that. We signed our own treaty after Treaty of Versailles was rejected. How about that?
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, the Rhineland had important industrial cities such as Essen and Köln in the Ruhr and Saar valleys, and also Frankfurt and Saarbrücken, and the historical capital of Charlemagne, Aachen, which we've talked about before. Mm-hmm. The Germans were prohibited from fortifying regions adjacent to the French border, and in addition, Alsace-Lorraine, which had been taken by the Germans in 1871, was returned to France. So the British and the French occupied these areas, basically peacekeeping forces, but they left about 10 years after they got there. The British left in 1929, and the French left in 1930. So on March 7th, 1936, Hitler, who had been the Reichschancellor since 1933, sent 20,000 troops into the Rhineland. And that was a move that drew little opposition from the French or British. And the last thing they were going to do is send more troops, British or French troops in that area. So after that, Hitler figured, well, if they're not going to stop me there, I'm going to do something else. And I think you can say if the French and the British had said, okay, we're starting to move troops back in, you have to comply with the Treaty of Versailles, I think that could have stopped Hitler, at least for a while.
Yep.
There was another lost opportunity, which was the annexation of Austria in 1938. And once again, the British and the French and the Americans, of course, at that point in time, America was so opposed to getting involved in another European war.
Yeah, we were Fortress America at that time,
We were isolationists, very much so. And so they didn't do anything about that either. And within a year, they were into the Low Countries and into Poland, and then a little bit after that, they moved into Russia. So there were opportunities there to stop Hitler, and nothing happened. So, like you intimated, Bob, what are the lessons from this?
Yeah, well, let's take a break on that point. Rick Bigelow is our guest. We're going to come back. Let's talk about the lessons for today. Let's talk about what history can teach us regarding Iran, regarding our adversaries, and both internal and external. Rick Bigelow is our guest. Hitler, stopping Hitler and the lessons of our failure to do so when we come back. Joe from 40 Fort reminded us about that. So great. So great. And Rick Bigelow, by the way, excuse my, Sabatel's dropped off a supersod. I don't even like supersod. This is one of the best things I've ever tasted in my life. Sabatel's and Pittston. Just go down there and tell them make you something. This is astonishing. I cannot stop eating it. Bulldog, did they give you something too? Well, I'm disappointed about that. You didn't deserve anything. Anyway, it's Sabatel's. It's awesome. Rick Bigelow's with us. What are the lessons that you derive from all of this?
Well, Bob, I think Iran today is a lot like Nazi Germany in 1939 to 1945. I think the Revolutionary Guard is kind of like the SS military divisions that Hitler had, and I think the secret police in Iran is an awful lot like the Gestapo and elements like that. Hitler used V-1 and V-2 rockets, the Tiger tanks, the Panzerfaust, which were sort of like super bazookas. And then he had, late in the war, he had jet bombers and jet fighters. And we knew that they were working on developing atomic weapons. And I think he probably would have used atomic weapons if he had them. It wasn't until 1945 that we found out that they were nowhere close to developing atomic weapons. It's amazing he didn't use chemical weapons, maybe because he was gassed in World War I, or maybe because he knew the Allies had huge stocks of chemical weapons in Europe and that we could have deployed them very quickly. So I think, Trump going after Iran's nuclear weapons in June of 2025 was similar what could have been done when Hitler refortified the Rhineland in 1936. I think if there had been a little more backbone on the part of the French and the British, maybe that would have stopped things or postponed it. And I think Trump's second attack on Iran's military leadership and infrastructure in 2026 in the last couple months, similar to what could have been done when Hitler annexed Austria in 1938. And I think, and of course, Trump has been talking about Iran for a long time, and he saw the failure of Bush 41, Clinton, and Bush 43 to halt the nuclear weapons programs in North Korea. And now the North Koreans have dozens of nuclear weapons, and they're working
and actually, the amazing parallel is that Clinton, and I, when it's the first time you try something, you sort of say, all right, they tried it. He actually gave the money to North Korea to be able to fund their nuclear and ballistic ambitions. And what do? A few decades later, the JCPOS, Obama gives the opportunity and the money to Iran to do the same thing after they'd already done that in Korea. It's amazing.
Yeah. That's one of those fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. But, I think Clinton and Obama, to some extent, really thought they could talk anybody into anything. And, frankly, FDR was the same way.
Yeah.
And so was Ronald Reagan. So, I can understand trying to do it and trying to do it without committing troops and putting boots on the ground and choppers in the air and all that kind of stuff. And I think sooner or later you have to get tough with thugs and bullies. And so I think that's what Trump did.
Well, now we have to worry that the temporary economic discomfort doesn't put us back into a place where we've merely delayed the inevitable again.
That's right. Now, and I think, of course, we don't know for sure, but I think enough of the nuclear program has been devastated that it's going to take them a long time to rebuild it, and Trump will be out of office by that point in time, and somebody else will be in office, and they'll have the opportunity to either get tough with them or appease them.
Well, Rick, I'm still disturbed about the capacity of Iran to be able to control economic activity in the Strait. I'm really disturbed about that. We've had plans since Reagan for keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. I don't know why we didn't assert those plans and do it. We're still at their mercy.
To some extent. And I've got a feeling that there are some rogue elements within the Revolutionary Guard that are still have control of some weapons, and they use opportunity. Certainly they've got fewer and fewer weapons all the time. So I think Trump's getting to another point where he's going to have to do something sooner or later if negotiations fail.
Well, a needed lesson which we need to repeat so that the country isn't doomed to repeat its failures. Rick Bigelow, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. And
Glad to do it, Bob.
I hope you like the fact that we brought Clemenza from The Godfather in to assist you.
Yeah, that was good.
All right. Rick Bigelow, patent attorney extraordinaire, but he's our historian. We love him. Thanks again, Rick. Always a pleasure. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. The eponymous program rolls on with the Veterans Tribute after these great messages from our sponsors. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, just as with every hour, and this day, just as with every day, proudly brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And on Fridays, we feature his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, consisting of 3 bar restaurants, Queen City Tavern, Oliphant, right on the main drag, the Far Street Tavern on Far Street in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton, the Old Brook Inn, 307, Springbrook Township. Fine dining, a Terra 519, the class of restaurants in Pennsylvania, never mind Northeast Pennsylvania. New chef, new menu, new prices, the whole package. And for an old world take on the same incredible dining experience, the Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. Ease into another era at the Stegmeyer. Sergei's, the nightclub. Looking to bop around a little bit? I go a little bit earlier, but I love it. It is the nightclub right underneath the Terra. David Mrazek. Mr. Mrazek was just 78 when we lost him June 4th after a long and courageous battle with cancer. Born in Scranton, a graduate of the great Scranton Technical High School, class of 1966. He served his country in the United States Navy during the Vietnam War. After his time in the Navy, Dave worked as an electronics technician at Tobyhanna Army Depot, retiring in 2011. Upon his retirement, he remained active in the community. He was a member of Mary Mother of God Parish in Scranton. He was in the choir, the funeral service team. He also volunteered at the North Scranton Food Pantry. He loved fishing, taking care of his yard, football, Sunday dinners with the fam. Dave had an infectious laugh and smile that made everyone around him feel like his family. He was the ultimate role model, known for kindness, generosity, compassion. Tragically, he lost family members, including his namesake infant grandson, David Paul Walsh. He's survived by his loving wife of 55 years, Mary Ellen, his 2 daughters, his 6 grandchildren, and other family members. David Mrazek, our great veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and the Basiliga Hospitality Group. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the gang at Montage Mountain, the water park in full swing. Today, times of clouds and sun, but a great day to get up to Montage, 83 degrees. Tonight, a couple of showers late, low 63. Tomorrow, clouds, breaks of sun, humid, couple of showers here and there, high 77, low 61. Sunday, we really get into water park territory. Warmer with intervals of clouds and sun, high 85. It'll go down to 58 overnight. Then Monday, steamy, hot, 90 degrees, low 62. Tuesday, hot with sun and some clouds, chance for a thunderstorm in the afternoon, 92 degrees, low 70. Yeah, that is, without doubt, water park weather. And it's 74 degrees right now at Montage Mountain. Yeah, Joe, paid for by your allies at the Southern Poverty Law Center. Paid to hate. Amazing. Biden banner disgrace. Stolen valor, day 194. The Greenridge Neighborhood Association, the revolting, disgusting Greenridge Neighborhood Association. Well, they made a mistake. They put up a banner, a hometown hero banner meant for veterans with Joe Biden as the honoree on North Washington Avenue in Scranton. They found out, no, this is only for veterans. You made a mistake. They voted 10-5 to keep it up, knowing it was wrong. To their shame, to their disgrace. Let them know on their Facebook page. Not in any foul manner. Just let them know. They're a disgrace. Biden banner. Hometown hero banner, stolen valor. Day 194. The disgrace of the the Greenridge Neighborhood Association continues. Charles from Scott Township texts in, President Trump gets more opposition from Democrats than from Iran. Tom from Dallas texts in, Iran and Germany back in the 40s. Very similar. Just like back then, the European countries haven't done a thing to stop Iran. It's like they've learned nothing. They haven't. Nonetheless, I'm so glad that finally someone is calling these people for what they are, communists. There are still people calling them liberals, for God's sake. They're communists. Now, this is instructive. And I asked the Bulldog to print this out for me. JB sent it to me today. And I said, man, we got to talk about this. I've read it to you a number of times before, but I'm going to put it on the forefront now that Trump has declared war on communism. And thank God he has. It says the forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe. For the axe was clever and convinced the trees that because his handle was wood, he was one of them. Please remember that. Let's go to Donald in Pittston. Donald, thank you for your patience, my man.
Okay, now, first we're going to talk about the solution to stop these communists from winning, because the Democrats have no base no more. They lost their voter base. Mike Smerconish wants the independents to vote in the primaries, so you get more like centrist candidates like Democrats like Fetterman. That's number one. That's
Fetterman's not centrist, let's be fair.
Yeah, I know, but at least he's normal. Like, at least
he's talking a normal game, yes.
Yeah, right. Now, this happened before with a man by the name I told you about, this Lyndon LaRouche from 1976 to 2004. Yep. And the war aviator Bush, he switched parties, said, you're not coming, with the help from a junior senator from Georgia behind the scenes by the name of Newt Gingrich. They put him in jail for embezzling $30 million with mail fraud, tax evasion, and credit cards. He was doing his campaign. He did 5 years. He got out, and he got out in 2004. That was the end of it. From 89 to 94, he continued until 2004. But after that, it just exhausted him. These people you have to follow the money trail and find out who and prosecute these people for whoever's giving them the money. They're probably doing it illegally, like they did with this Lyndon LaRouche guy. Now,
by the way, small point. 1988, I was a young lawyer. Had just started my first radio station. And the Democrat Party, some people in the Democrat Party came to me and said, we can't get anybody to run for Congress, and there's going to be a Lyndon LaRouche disciple who's going to win the Democrat nomination. Would you please run? And I did.
See, isn't that amazing? I brought that up. That's crazy. You got to move up. Now, listen, though, Bob. I think that these communists are illegal because, to me, I think you could actually prosecute a breach of political oath of office for not defending
it is still illegal.
Communism
is still illegal. That's why they're calling themselves the Democrat Socialist Party.
Well, someone's got to stop them, Trump or somebody. We got to get the Justice Department, because these people, their plan is to get rid of the Supreme Court and take over the Federal Reserve. Game over.
Yep.
The wealth is gone. Once they take over the Federal Reserve, they said they want the Supreme Court. These candidates are winning. What They're taking people that know nothing about politics and they're turning them into socialists. They're living in their parents' basement. That one candidate was living in their parents' basement. Yep. These people aren't qualified to run for a political office. You're just putting someone that knows what they're doing. They have no education.
They're
They're
not qualified to running a dog walking operation.
No, they don't know nothing about history or nothing. We had PT 109 JFK. We had George Walker Herbert Bush, a war hero, aviator. I mean that crashed his plane and got out. My God, we on both sides. This is crazy. But Michael Smerconish, he'll be talking tomorrow probably about it. That's the solution. They lost their base, the Democrats, for their left-wing insanity, and they became more centrist candidates or leaning right like I am now with you. So they have to have these independents and the middle people like you vote in these primaries, and he's putting this in front of the Supreme Court to get it passed. Yeah. Hopefully we can stop the bleeding from these crazy candidates.
And your point is right. I would seldom vote for Democrats because they were always soft on communism. They were always soft on. They were always wrong on the economy. They always wanted to grow government. But this is at another level. They're enemies of the American people and the American experiment. Always a
guy like you could go down and vote for maybe somebody with a brain. Like a Fetterman instead of someone's a communist.
They have to run 6%. First. You got to get them to run first.
Yeah,
and
right.
There's no
be out
appetite.
there, they can go on.
No appetite in the Democrat Party for normal candidates right now. Thank you, Donald. Hey, we got to go. We got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We're going to be back. All right, he hit the note. But you could tell a little uneven. This date, 1977, Murph tells us Elvis performed for the final time at Market Square Arena, Indianapolis, Indiana. The last song was that one, and you heard it. Can't Help Falling in Love. Bob Cordaro back with you, again, June 26, 1977. We're going to finish with Survivor. Right, Bulldog? We're moving up the charts with Eye of the Tiger from Rocky III, and that'll be our rap song today. And but let me get, by the way, very interesting. Mark Mayer sent me something, and so did Rick Bigelow. The Nazi Islamist connection. During World War II, Himmler's SS recruited tens of thousands of Muslims to fight against the communists, to oppose the Russians, and they were anti-Jewish. Several all-Muslim units that had their own imams. Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Muhammad Amin al-Husseini, met with Hitler. Fascinating. So it's not just historical parallels. There's historical connections between Nazi Germany and Iran and radical Islam. Well, Murph tells us Survivor moving up the charts with Eye of the Tiger from the movie Rocky III, this date, 1982. And with that as the backdrop, we'll talk about the policeman's prayer because we need these guys to be the thin blue line this weekend. Lord, bless the ones who wear the badge, the ones who walk the beat, protect and keep them safe while they are on the street. As they wait and as they watch, doing good for all, guide their minds and give them strength for each and every call. Ready to put their lives on the line, give them courage each day. Let them know you're always there in each and every way. So bless the ones who wear the badge, protect them from harm, always keep them safe and in your loving arms. Of course, tomorrow never comes. Our finisher for every Friday we can. Norma Cornett Merrick. I discovered it in the loving obituary of Doreen Goriab a few years back. And it just reminds you, tomorrow never comes, literally. Reach out, that friend, that family member. If I knew it would be the last time I'd see you walk out the door, I'd give you a hug and kiss and call you back for just one more. If I knew it would be the last time, I would spare an extra minute or two to stop and say I love you instead of assuming you know I do. So just in case tomorrow never comes and today is all I get, I'd like to say how much I love you, and I hope we will never forget. Tomorrow isn't promised to anyone, young or old alike, and today may be the last chance you get to hold your loved one tight. So if you're waiting for tomorrow, why not do it today? For if tomorrow never comes, you'll surely regret the day that you didn't take that extra time for a smile, a hug, or a kiss, for a text or a call, and you were too busy to grant someone what turned out to be their final wish. So hold your loved ones close today and whisper in their ear that you love them very much and you'll always hold them dear. Take time to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or it's okay. And if tomorrow never comes, you'll have no regrets about today. Well, we're headed up to the top of the hour on my Picardo Jewelers watch. Final mention of our veterans. We paid tribute today thanks to John Basiliga, Dave Mrazek, Nort Scranton, Paul Nealon, Scranton, late of North Carolina. And, of course, we had the great call-in and an amazing sandwich from Sabatel's as we paid tribute today to Charles Rocky Sabatel. Guys, it's noon. That's what Picardo's tells me. That means I got to go. That means Sue Henry's coming in. That means there's more radio to be had. Rob O'Donnell after her, thanks to Roach Supply, the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. 75 years in business. Visit roachsupply.com today ROCHE. And thanks to Tina Morocco, Global Sales Advisor at Sotheby's International in Naples, Florida, your trusted guide to Florida real estate. And you need one. My man Marty Murphy, he couldn't spell her name. And I told him, here it's Muracco. You got to find her. Guys, you have a great weekend. God willing, we're all here. And Monday, we're back and doing it again. Have a safe weekend. Have a fun weekend. Have a nice weekend. But for now, I've got to gavel a close. Today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Adios, gang.